Welcome to the 84th episode of Impact Media Presents. This is Kelly Redmond, your host, and welcome to the new year. I am so excited today to kick off Black History Month with a very dear friend and legendary musician, songwriter, and Hey, Teddy, how
Hey,
are you? We had a little technical delay that we did not experience backstage, but welcome to Impact Media Presents.
well, thank you, Kelly. It's a pleasure being here, and I want to thank you for having me on Impact Media Presents for this post-Grammy
Absolutely.
Black History Month interview. It's very much
Absolutely.
appreciated, and as always, it's great to see you.
It's always great to see you. And Teddy, I just have to say,
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Kelly. Looks like we got disconnected.
Teddy,
Yes,
there is a first time for everything. Goodness gracious,
I know.
technology can fail us at the
I,
absolute worst times.
I
And I just want
know.
to thank you for your patience. I have never, in history of my 84 episodes, had that happen. So I am so sorry for that. But thank you for your patience. And we're going to get right back to it. I wanted to go back to part of the intro that we were talking about. As you mentioned, we are doing this one in celebration of Black History Month, but also we are celebrating some history being made at the Grammys. And it was very exciting to see Beyonce go into the night last night, tied for the most Grammys ever received, and then to surpass that record by 4 Grammys for a total of 32 Grammys. Did you ever expect in your lifetime, being in this industry, that you would see a Black artist surpass the number of Grammys received? Wait, first tie and then surpass it. Did you ever expect to predict that in your career?
Never in my lifetime, and I couldn't be happier for a artist as I am for Beyonce. I'm a big fan. I may be her biggest fan,
Oh,
and I'm
wow.
also a big fan of Jay-Z, her husband's as well. But congratulations, Beyonce. We're very proud of you. And she just announced a tour
Yes.
that's going to be out on the road soon, and wow, that's going to be another first because she's going to be breaking all kinds of box office records.
Absolutely. And a shout out to her husband, Jay Z, as you mentioned. Not only did she break the record for the most award, wins, but she and Jay Z are tied for the most nominations, which is 88, which is absolutely incredible.
Wow.
Um, and to see a husband and wife team doing this kind of making this kind of impact on the music industry is incredible. So wanted to give them a shout out right off the gate. And we have another, some other recognitions along the way.
Oh,
Teddy,
great.
when we had you on our 12 Christmas favorites, and thank you so much for being on us as we were celebrating your book.
My pleasure.
That's right. That's right. A golden past and a platinum future. And that you have had. It was such a blessing to see all of not only the awards and accolades, the pictures telling the story. As I mentioned backstage, it really is music history. It's broadly music history, also Black music history, and then Atlanta history. And then I felt it was also some of my personal history because I was there for a good decade of it. And I just thank you for, this memoir that you have written and compiled that the world needs to see. And I'm a firm believer of that. So let's start off where we picked up, let's pick up where we were last. You told us a little bit about, how you climbed, the ladder. I wanted to know if there's some people that helped open the doors for you that you want to acknowledge before we start getting into some of the stories about the artists that you've worked with over the decades. So,
I'd be happy to,
mhm.
Kelly. Well, basically, every person has a mentor in their life at one time or another.
Yes.
My mentor was Mr. Charles Gear. Charles Gear and I became very good friends. We worked together at a restaurant. He'd already he's always had his hands in the music industry. Charles and Gladys Knight lived in the same neighborhood here in Atlanta. He was
Hmm.
responsible for Gladys recording her first single, "Every Beat of My Heart."
Hmm.
So when Atlantic Records started to grow, they hired Charles as the regional promotion director for Atlantic, and that was part of a corporation. It was part of Time Warner. Time Warner's music division consisted of three labels. It was called WEA, WEA, W for Warner, W for Warner Brothers, E for Electra Records, A for Atlantic Records. So he worked for the Atlantic division of Time Warner. And Charles took me under his arms, took me under his wing, and showed me what a great promotion marketing man should be doing. When he's promoting,
Hmm.
marketing the artist, tutoring, making sure that he took me out to concerts. During that time, Warner Brothers didn't have any black music, but Atlantic Records, they was rolling with black music, with Clarence Carter, Everett White Band, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Donny Hathaway, Roberta Flack. They were just rolling in black music. And of course, other record labels were too. And at the time, Warner Brothers was a rock and roll record label, a very successful rock and roll record label.
Hmm.
And that's when they decided to put together a black music department. And I was part of that black music dynasty, building that artist roster from the ground up.
And Charles had a nickname, Big Time. How did he get that nickname?
Well, he just it just it was just so appropriate for him. Every time we
Hmm.
said, "There goes Big Time, what's going on?" Nothing's going on, Big Time. How you doing, Big Time? So that was his name, Big Time. In fact, I
Hmm.
still call him Big Time now. Every time
Okay.
I see it,
Did you
yeah.
give him that nickname?
No, I didn't, but I made sure that everybody knew who Big Time was.
I hear you. I hear you. In reading your book too, now, being a friend of yours and the family, I knew Joyce, but I did not know your love story. I did not know that you actually met through work. So tell us a little bit about how you met the love of your life.
Okay, well, during the time, Warner Brothers was basically extending their black music department, and I was the last person that they hired. And my job, I was assigned to Charlotte, North Carolina. I was assigned to Charlotte, North Carolina to develop the black music market for North and South Carolina. And Joyce
Mhm.
worked for a promotion company, and I just happened to go by there one day, and wow, she really caught my eyes. And a good friend of mine there, his name was Slack Johnson, who later became my best man. He set up a date with Joyce and I. Our first date. He set up our first date, and from there, 44 years later, here we are.
Yes, I love hearing that, how you came in the office and then, went to your buddy to try to, make it because you
Yeah,
didn't approach her under a professional circle. He said, okay,
yeah.
I just love how you work that out and
And
here
and
you are.
and I just said, "Hi, my name is Teddy." She said, "My name is Joyce." Teddy, and everybody knows who you are.
Exactly, exactly. So, oh, I just loved it. That was so sweet, and I was really grateful to learn that part of you that I did not know. So, thank you for sharing that. We touched on last time how Mayor Maynard Jackson was really, a pioneer as a mayor nationwide to really embrace the arts and entertainment by creating the Entertainment Commission to build a strong business base and an infrastructure that supported arts and entertainment, in the city of Atlanta. And you were a part of that pioneering commission. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more and really give flowers to Mayor Jackson and that commission for the groundbreaking work that you did. And other cities still, this is a model that other cities can follow today. It still needs to happen, across the country because, well, anyway, so tell us a little bit, about that, and what would you say was kind of the most impactful thing that you and or the commission did under that umbrella?
Well, I'm in my office one day, Kelly, and I get a call. Young lady say, Teddy Astin, yes. I'm calling from Mayor Maynard Jackson's office. Mayor Jackson is putting together a entertainment commission, and he would like for you to be on it. I said, I would love to be on it. I said, of course, confirm me. She said, well, here's the mayor. He's listening. Uh, then his deep voice comes on. Hi, Teddy. How are you? I'm fine, Mr. Mayor. How are you? He says, Teddy, I understand that you are a mover and shaker in the entertainment industry, and I want you on my team. I said, I'll be honored to be on your team, Mayor Jackson. What's the mission? He said, well, when you go, I understand that you visit LA and New York often, and when you go there, you tell them that Atlanta is open for business. Atlanta is open for
Yes.
business for the entertainment industry. So I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, we got land, we got tax incentives, we got warehouse space. Tell them that we just need to know what they need. I
Yes.
said, well, let's okay, I'll be going to LA next week. Can we put that in writing? He said, no. You just go tell them what I said. And that's what I did, when I talked
Okay.
to some, because, all the movie companies, movie studios, and record labels, most of them are in LA, and then I frequent New York as well. So when I had this talk with a lot of the movie studios and the record labels, they said, wow, what do we have? Why should we move to Atlanta? I said, well, you don't necessarily have to move to Atlanta. Just put a branch in Atlanta. Just extend your company to Atlanta. It's a lot cheaper for the movie studios to do movies here in Atlanta or throughout Georgia than it is in LA and New York. They said, well, you got that right. They said,
Mhm.
well, why should we? I said, what's the incentive? Well, we got tax incentives, we got land, we got warehouse space. You come tell us what we want. You come tell us what we need. And the follow up was, well, when we come to Atlanta, can we have a meeting with the mayor? Of course, I'll set up the meeting with the mayor. And to make a long story short, Atlanta has become the entertainment mecca of the universe. Atlanta has
Mhm.
more record labels. Atlanta has more artists, and Atlanta has more movie studios in Atlanta than any other part of the country. And Maynard Jackson, the crew at City Hall, including yourself, when you was working there, was very
Yes.
entertainment friendly. So it wasn't as hard as people may think because we had the right people in place. The timing was right. The 90s was rolling. We rolled this into the late 90s, the early 2000s, and we were able to have this accomplishment that I don't think any other state in the country would ever be able to accomplish because they're all here now and they're not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that insight and your role in establishing the commission, because I thought that was important to acknowledge. So let's get into talking about, I mean, there's so many artists, so many of my favorites. I'm going to start with, you mentioned how Donnie and Roberta came into the family. I absolutely love Donnie Hathaway and Roberta Flack
Yes,
together.
and Roberta Flack,
Tell
yeah.
me a little something about Donnie and Roberta.
Well, I was big fans of Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. They were both on Atlantic Records. So that was the sister label of Warner Brothers. I
Hmm.
never had a chance to work with Donny and Roberta Flack one on one, but I was around
Hmm.
them a lot because Charles Gear, big time, worked for Atlantic Records, and that's who they
Hmm.
recorded for. But they were always big fans. You
Yes,
know, it's you know it's that incredible talent that they had. Atlantic Records built a great roster, and Warner
absolutely.
Brothers, we came right behind them, and we passed every record label on the planet with the artist roster that
Oh,
we built.
yes. Not only did they have incredible talent, the two of them together had incredible chemistry. I mean,
Absolutely,
just like Marvin and Tammy. I
yeah.
absolutely love them. But now we'll go to one that I know you definitely worked with directly. Tell us what you want to share about the Prince story and how you launched Prince.
Well, basically, Prince came to Warner Brothers. Well, several record labels had turned Prince down,
Mm.
and they just didn't feel like he was what they needed for their roster. So by the time the demo tape got to Warner Brothers, and they heard it, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is incredible!" So what they did, they sent out samples of his album to the staff, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, "Wow, who is this singing soft and wet?"
That's my
That
favorite song of all time.
I'm like,
That's
"This is
my
the
favorite. I still listen to it today.
absolutely." They said, "This is a brand new artist that we just signed. His name is Prince." Prince who? Prince. Just Prince. He wrote all the songs. He played all the instruments. He produced the album. He engineered it, and he brought it to Warner Brothers on a silver platter.
Yeah.
I'm like, woo! I can't believe it. I said, I would like to get him in my market here around Thanksgiving to do a Thanksgiving food drive with one of the radio stations. They're like, Teddy, don't know. Why not? Well, he doesn't talk. Well, if he doesn't talk, I mean, he's like, the home office is like, if he doesn't talk, it may do more harm than good. The people that you're introducing him to, the conversation may not go as well as you like. I said, look, I got this. Okay, no problem. I got it. So, what do you need to pull this off, Teddy? I ran off a list of things. When do you want him there? I said, I would like to have him here on Thanksgiving Day because the radio station here, WGIV, is doing a food drive for the food shelters as well as the homeless and needy families. Okay, well, what else? Several other things. But in addition to that, I want to do advertising at every black radio station in North and South Carolina. What? That's a lot of money. What else? I want to give each radio station 50 albums to have a Prince weekend and let everybody know that on Thanksgiving Day, Prince is going to be in Charlotte. And if you want to meet Prince, you bring two or more cans of non-perishable food, and you'll have a chance to meet Prince. Wow, Kelly is one of the
Mm.
first big promotions that I've ever done. Traffic was
Wow.
backed up all the way back to South Carolina, North Carolina, everywhere. The state patrol comes up to the radio station. What's going on here? Who's here? Why is traffic backed up? Why is everybody trying to get here? Who's in charge? Everybody looks at me. I'm like, well, why is everybody trying to get here? I said, well, I have a prince in town. Prince? Nobody told the governor, the mayor, the show that a prince was going to be in town. What's the king and the queen? Well, I left the royal entourage at the hotel. It's just me and the prince, right?
I love
He's
it.
like, okay, all right. But just got to back up a little bit. When Prince got to town for the promotional tour, he said, hey, Teddy, It's great to meet you. I heard a lot about you. Looking forward to working with you. What do you want me to do? I had an itinerary. I said, this is the itinerary. This is what I want you to do. He said, cool, I could do that. He said, I just have one request. I said, what's your request, Prince? He said, after we finish the promotional tour, will you take me to the movies to see Superman? Of course, I'd take you to see
Oh,
Superman, because he was a big Superman fan. And
wow.
all the blockbuster movies usually come out around the holiday, Thanksgiving, New Year's, Christmas Eve, 4th of July, Memorial Day weekend. So that was a big blockbuster weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, that the new Superman movie was premiering. And that's all they wanted to do.
Wow.
So that promotional tour launched Prince's career. We sold out every album, every cassette. We sold out every piece of vinyl cassette that we could put in the
Mm,
market. And from that day moving forward, we were able to spread that success all over the United States. And the rest is history because Prince and I became very close. And from the beginning until the end. In fact, he put my
yeah.
name on his second album, thanking me
Wow.
for helping to launch his career at Warner Brothers.
Mm. What a wonderful story and insight into who he was at the beginning,
Yeah,
and just wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to get on to another legendary musical artist. They're all legends. You've only worked with legends, so I'll
we
keep
ma- no,
saying
we
that.
we made legends.
Exactly, exactly. So let's talk a little about Bob Marley. I would love to hear something interesting about Bob Marley.
Okay, well, that was another great artist that I had the pleasure of working with. In fact, I hosted Bob Marley's last promotional tour. He
Mm,
had an album out called, the title of the album was called Survival, where he had
mm,
a flag of each state in Africa and opposed to, he was very opposed to the apartheid that was happening in South Africa. So that's why he put a flag of every country of South Africa on the cover of his album. And the album was released. By that time, Kelly, I had moved to Washington D.C. I'm moving up the corporate ladder. So
mhm.
I was responsible for hosting his last promotional party for his album Survival. So we're there in Washington D.C. It's probably one of the best presentation for turnouts for the press that I've ever hosted. People from New York, the press from New York,
Mm,
Philadelphia, D.C., Baltimore, Virginia, they came from everywhere.
wow.
People from the White House, the senators, the Congress, uh, the Black Caucus was there. So it was a
Mm.
great turnout. So after the party, Bob invited me up to his suite and said, Teddy, and I'm gonna be very frank with you. He said, Teddy, I'd like for you to come up to my suite if you don't mind. He said, I really appreciate everything that you did. And so we get up to the suite, and he said, Teddy, this is the best promotional party I've ever hosted. He started rolling up a fat one, and he hit it, and he passed it to me. once I once, once I gained my composure, I'm like, okay, yeah. He passed it back. He said, Teddy, do you ever go to Jamaica? I said, sure, I go to Jamaica. I take my family to Jamaica every year. He says, what part of Jamaica do you usually visit? I said, Negril. He said, my home is only 10 miles. My childhood home is only 10 miles from Negril. He said, next time you come to Jamaica, I got you. So that summer rolls around, we're in Jamaica. He sends the guide over to our resort to pick us up. He said, plus Bob Marley said, look, I'm going to show you the real Jamaica.
Mhm.
So they pick us up, they take us to a childhood home. They stop the tour to let us take our time, view his home. In fact, in the book, you'll see Joyce and I sitting on his bed, his childhood bed,
Mhm.
his raised. You'll see his home. After that, they took us throughout Jamaica. I mean, Jamaica is a beautiful country.
Mhm.
I mean, you never get. I mean, it's great to visit there and be around the culture, but to visit the real Jamaica is a real treat, and I really enjoyed that. And that's one of the highlights, And Bob Marley is one of a kind. He's one of my favorites.
Oh
Say,
yeah.
that Kelly, today's Bob Marley's birthday.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Happy birthday to
Happy
our
birthday,
ancestor, Bob
Rastafari,
Marley. Yes,
Rasta
rest
man.
in heaven.
Yes,
You
man.
know, it's so interesting too, because another artist invited you to Jamaica. And I have to tell you, during the pandemic, I've always loved Al Jarreau.
Hmm.
And during the pandemic, I started listening to, you know, some of my favorite songs from him and kind of added them back because I hadn't really been making playlists with all these new platforms, but I started doing that. And I tell you, when I was listening to Al Jarreau, it just stirred up something in me. There were good, just happy feelings, and I just missed him. And it was and I missed his music, I missed his voice, and it was something that kind of caught me off guard. But the way
Yeah,
that the music made me feel at this stage in my life, I just had so much gratitude, for him. And I feel that way about a lot of, but in that moment, it's just something that I didn't expect, and it just meant a lot. And so, tell us about your experience working with Al Jarreau and that infamous invitation to Jamaica. Another Jamaica story.
everybody loves Jamaica.
And I
Well,
haven't been. I need to get.
you
I've
gotta
been trying
go.
to go. I need to go.
Well, Al Jarreau and I had become friends over the years. Al Jarreau was a superstar in Europe.
Mhm,
Warner Brothers signed him to the United States, and when Warner Brothers signed him to the U.S., his career skyrocketed.
mhm.
A few months, I worked for Warner Brothers for over 20 years. So when I decided to, start a new career at a nightclub at Underground Atlanta called Teddy's Live, uh, we're there billing out the space. I've been there probably about a month since I had left the company, Warner Brothers. And all of a sudden the phone ring, 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 ring. Teddy, Mr. Teddy. Yes, Mr. Al Jarreau's on the phone. I said, okay, thank you. Hey, Al. Teddy, tell me it's not true. Well, what's not true? They told me you left Warner Brothers, man. When did you leave? I said, well, I left about a month ago, maybe going on 2 months. He said, wow. He said, I was talking to my manager, Pat Raines, and David Sanborn. David Sanborn and Al Jarreau had the same manager, Patrick Rain. So he said, I was telling David Sanborn and Patrick Rain that Warner Brothers would never be the same. He said, here's what I like to do. My tour's winding down in a month or so. I love for you and your wife to join me and my family in Jamaica. All I got to do is say the J word, Jamaica.
Exactly.
My bags are packed. But the timing was great because we're billing out Teddy's Live. That took about 2 months. And I was at a burnout point at that time because there were so many details that we had to cover. And we needed a getaway. So when he invited us to Jamaica to spend with his family, all expenses paid, first class, it was the treat that we needed. And
Mhm.
and most of these artists, like a Prince or Al Jarreau, it was more than a promotion executive and recording artist working. We became friends.
Yes.
And that meant so much more because they put so much trust into me, and I
Yes.
guided a lot of their careers.
It's absolutely incredible. And now that you took us to Teddy's Live, we got to stick around for a little while. We were so proud of you opening up Teddy's Live in Underground Atlanta. I didn't know the exact date of when you started it. I had no idea. I remember it was during then Councilmember Bill Campbell's campaign for mayor, but I did not know when. So when I saw August 16th, 93 as the first night that you opened, I was like, oh my goodness, because
Wow.
what I remember is on my birthday a week later, we were celebrating and having a fundraiser for Mary Let, with for the campaign, Bill Campbell's
Right.
mayoral campaign.
Hmm.
And Fred McKnight, the brother to Claude and Brian, was the lead act. And, he pulled together a band to, do a fundraiser. And I didn't realize I was just your second week being open. I didn't
Well,
know that.
we weren't quite ready for that, but since Kelly said I wanted to do, you want to do a fundraiser for my boss, Bill Campbell, mayor, who became mayor, how could you say no? Plus, Mayor Campbell was a friend of mine, Councilman Campbell, who later became Mayor Campbell, and
Right,
you being the administrator of his office,
right.
the chief deputy to the mayor. I mean, it was great. That's one of the reasons that we were able to build such a great relationship. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank Mayor Campbell, thank Mayor Jackson, and all the other supporting members of the city government. But you put together one of the most successful fundraisers that we held there at Teddy's Live for Mayor Campbell.
Oh, thank you so much, Teddy. And yeah, like I said, reading your book was not only, it was my history too. And
Yes.
I'm just so grateful for all that we shared and all that we did and accomplished, together. And when I look at you in the pictures with Bill and the mayor, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think I wrote that proclamation there.
You- I've got
I
so many
worked out quite a few for you over
I
the
got so
years.
many proclamations from the mayor's office and city council people.
Yes.
You should have drawn a line up under that Kelly Redmond.
Let me add my
Presented
little
by Kelly
signature to
Redmond.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Thank
the
you.
thing about it is that you guys really showed your appreciation for what I was bringing to the
Yeah,
table and the entertainment that we brought to Atlanta and how we made Atlanta the entertainment mecca of the universe. I
absolutely.
mean, it took a village to do that,
Yes,
you know,
absolutely.
and here's where we are.
And then a memory I forgot was Usher's Sweet 16
Do you
birthday.
remember that?
I do.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh my God. There's so many. I
yeah,
remember some of these art, like I remember TLC being launched during Jack the Rapper and
yes,
all
yes.
of that. But oh my gosh, it was just, like I said, a walk down memory lane. And of course, the legendary concert that you had with Michael Henderson, Norman Connors, and Gene Carn. I mean, that night was just
Yeah,
every night was magical, but that one was on a whole nother level. That was Starship level.
yeah. Again, it was around this time of year, leading up to Valentine
Right. That's right.
weekend, and that was one of the best productions that I put together. I mean, when you got Gene Carn, Michael Henderson, and Norman Connors, and everybody waiting for the starship to land. I mean,
Yes.
it was a lovers' week at Teddy's Live. I mean,
Yeah.
that Gene Carn still talks about it. You know,
Yes.
in fact, we were reminded of it. When Michael Henderson passed a few months ago. You
Yeah.
know, but it was that was I think that was one of my greatest productions there.
Who were some of your other favorite artists that you had at Teddy's Live?
Noah Pointer. He was a violinist.
Hmm.
Um, uh, we had Natalie Cole there. We had James Ingram there. Albie Shore, El
Hmm.
DeBarge. We had Johnny Gills, Stacy Lattisaw. I mean, it was an all
Oh
star
my
cast,
goodness.
and
Yes, it was.
not only that, every time because we took good care of the hotel front desk people and the valet
Yeah.
people, and every time somebody come to town, they're like, "You need to go to Teddy's Live. You need to go to Teddy's Live." And
Yes.
everybody showed up there, including entertainers and business people in and out of town, and the crew from the heat of the night was filming 20, 25 miles from Atlanta. So they used to come to the club every Friday and Saturday and
Yeah.
Sunday night and just let their hair down, man. They didn't want no VIP treatment. They just wanted to come in, let their hair down, and have a good time.
And that's what it's all about. Can I
Yeah,
ask you a favor, Teddy?
sure.
Can you bring Teddy's Live to Los Angeles?
Uh,
We need it badly. There's nothing like that here in the city like Los Angeles, which is supposed to have all this entertainment, but for more mature audiences, we don't really have anything like this at that, especially not at that level with all of the entertainers that are here. So I want you to seriously consider this. And
well,
we'll talk about that offline. But
well,
I just
guess
had
what?
to make a public
Okay.
proposal just
Guess
in
what?
case.
I got the name from LA because when I was
Mm,
living in LA, in fact, I got the idea from LA because when I was
mm,
living in Burbank, California, we should go to a club. There should be R&B live every Thursday, Friday night at some club there. R&B live.
mm-hmm,
I'm like, I really like that name. So when I move back to Atlanta, I'm going to open a Teddy's Live. I'm just going to take it to
mm-hmm.
the next level. But that's why I got the name.
Wow.
It's
I
from
didn't know
LA.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not know that. But you're needed back here,
Okay.
really.
I'm on
I
the way.
mean, and even if you do a bi-coastal situation, let's work that out because
Let,
it's so needed. It is so needed.
let's do it.
Yeah, so I can't not ask about our all-star Funketeers, George Clinton and Bootsy Collins.
Oh,
Give us a
yeah.
little scoop on them.
Well, Prince was a big fan of George Clinton. George Clinton is one of the most smartest musicians, producers, uh,
Mhm.
music entrepreneurs that I know of. You
Yes.
know, that I've ever met. Let's put it like that. Because George Clinton had like 5 or 6 bands all over the place.
Wow.
Prince was a big fan of George Clinton. George Clinton brought Bootsy's Rubber Band to Warner Brothers. George Clinton brought the Funkadelics to Warner Brothers. But also he had groups on Atlantic Records and Capitol Records and other record labels. He had artists like Fred Wesley and the Horny Horns, the Brides of Funkenstein, Parliament, Funkadelic, Bootsy's Rubber Band, all over the place. So George offered me a job one night, said, Teddy, man, in fact, Funkadelics was on tour. And George is like, Teddy, come on, man, come on in here. We having a party. Come on in here. So got around to, look, would you like to come to work for me? I said, what would the title be? He said, man, I got all these artists all over the place. I can't keep up with my money, and and I'm out here trying to work and tour and everything. And I'm missing phone calls. I need somebody to keep up with my damn money. I said, oh, let me think about that. I'm gonna see you tomorrow night in Macon or wherever they were gonna be the next night. And get back there the next night. He was like, Daddy, think about what I asked you. Like, um, I thought about it, but at this time I have a contract with Warner Brothers, and they won't let me out of it. He's like, F that. Whatever they pay you, I'll triple it. I said, no, it ain't that easy. But just to show you what a genius George Clinton was, Prince was a big fan. Prince asked me, he said, Teddy, George Clinton has 7 or 8 different groups. I said, yeah, but they're all over the place. They were Warner Brothers, they were Capitol, they were Atlantic, they were Casablanca. They're all over the place. He said, well, Warner Brothers is going to give me my own label, Paisley Park. He said, what if I was able to have all of my artists on Paisley Park and they're all distributed by Warner Brothers? I said, yeah, and you'll be right there with Warner Brothers Pictures. He's like, that's it. You know, he said,
Wow.
he's like, George is a genius and I love him. I admire him because after George Clinton started signing artists like that, So did Rick James with Tina Marie, the Mary
Yes.
Jane Girls, and a few other artists. So, but nobody did it like Prince. So when Warner Brothers
Mhm.
gave Prince his own label, he signed Morris Day and the Time, Sheila E., Vanity Six, Apollonia, and lo and behold, he did the movie and soundtrack to Purple Rain.
Yeah.
All under one umbrella, all under one company. So when he got those checks, he got one big fat check.
I would love to see that check
Yeah, man. He
or
didn't have to go.
receive that check.
Yeah,
Receive
he
a
didn't
check
have to go.
for that.
He didn't have to go to 10 record labels and ask them where's his money. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was. But Prince was a really, really big fan of George Clinton, and I tell you
Yeah.
who else was a big fan of Prince was a big fan of was Sly Stone as well.
Mm.
A big fan. So he had a lot of admirers. Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I did want to circle back to Prince. And here's another Grammy shout out because Lizzo won Song of the Year and she did a personal tribute to Prince and how Prince inspired her as a young girl to be positive in her own way. And now it's resulted into, this incredible brand and image that she has built and now award winning and it's just
Hmm.
incredible. But it's beautiful to see the young people give flowers to all who come before them, and so that's something that I wanted to lift up during our conversation
Absolutely.
today.
And I'm a big fan of Lizzo's too.
Yes.
She's on the cutting edge of
Yes,
music and
she is.
entertainment. I
Yes, she
love her.
is.
I don't like her, I
Absolutely.
love her.
Absolutely. Ditto. Ditto. So, oh my gosh, there's so many more artists to talk about, Teddy.
Okay,
Let's, oh, and I want to tell you a funny story about Bootsy Collins real quick. No,
okay.
not Bootsy, George Clinton. I actually remember going to see him at the Fox Theater, and I took some friends from Doha, Qatar. And you
Whoa.
talk about a memorable experience. I had a dear friend there who left Doha, Qatar, went to University of North Texas, pledged Kappa. His younger brother did the same thing, and they had their little sister visiting, and we took her to see George Clinton. You talk about
Wow.
experience of a lifetime. So
I
all this
think
happening in
I believe
Atlanta.
I remember that night because I'm like sitting second row at the Fox Theater.
Yes.
George pulls his shades off and just throw him in the audience, and I catch him, pull it down.
Yes. Yes.
I still may have them around here somewhere. I don't know why I didn't put them in my book on the George Clinton story, but
Oh
there
my
is
gosh.
so many great
So much
stories
to
there.
tell. So many stories. Let's
Yeah.
hear a little bit about Frankie Beverly, who's still around and kicking strong and on tour. Tell us a little
Okay.
something about Ted Frankie
Well,
in the beginning.
Frankie Beverly started out recording for Capitol Records,
Hmm.
but he saw all the success we were having at Warner Brothers, and he never had a number one record, and he never had a cross record to cross over to up the pop format. So when he came
Yeah.
over to Warner Brothers, we gave him everything that he never had.
Yeah.
We gave him the number one record.
Yes.
We gave him the number one record, and we crossed him over. And he was like when he came to Warner Brothers, he was like a kid in the candy store. Wow, I never
I
had this
bet.
success. I'm number one. I'm number one. You ain't just number one in LA. You're number one all over the country, as well as
Exactly.
Europe. Yeah. So, I mean, when you go to a Frankie Beverly concert, all the band got to do is start the song. He'll do the intro, and the audience will sing the rest.
Absolutely.
Every concert,
Absolutely.
everybody knows every word.
Every word. Every word. You know, Another person that I'd like to talk a little bit about and get some insight into early on is Jennifer Holliday. And I just saw her at Hollywood Bowl for Black Movie Night last August.
Hmm.
And I tell you, when you talk about, now I've been to a lot of concerts at Hollywood Bowl over the years. There was not a dry eye in the house.
Wow.
Everybody just, I mean, they showered all kind of love and oh, it was just, it was electric what
Mm.
happened. And she was just so overwhelmed.
I can
Um,
imagine.
oh my goodness. So tell, some of the folks who may not know why we love Jennifer Holliday so much.
The reason that we love Jennifer Holliday so much is because Jennifer was a part of the Dream Girls,
Yeah.
the original Dream Girls. So when she decided to go solo, well, she got a solo deal with Warner Brothers. And we came out, well, she recorded, and I'm telling you, I'm not going, which was a phenomenal hit. I mean, people sing it a cappella now.
Oh yeah.
So during the Jack the Rapper conference, Jennifer won Female Artist of the Year. In my book, you'll see me on stage with Jennifer and Jack the Rapper accepting her award. But we're all sitting at the table at the conference at the awards night, and when they said, and the Female Artist of the Year is Jennifer Holliday, from the hit singer, and I'm telling you, I'm not going. So Jennifer stood up. I stood up and I grabbed her hand. I escorted her up the steps to the stage to accept her award. And the audience gave her a standing ovation. And I escorted her back down the steps, back to the table. And she's like, Teddy, man, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I'm at your table. She said, I never would have made it up those steps with these stiletto heels and back down. She said, I would have been rolling down the steps. I'm like, no, I won't let that happen to you. I got you. Yeah. So Jennifer, and Jennifer is still one of my favorite artists. Every now and then we run
Oh,
across each other. And I have several photos with her. I have one photo with her when she was overweight, and I have another photo with her when she lost all of that weight. She was down to maybe 145 pounds.
she
Beautiful,
looks
beautiful.
absolutely stunning. I mean, I've heard her sing it several times over the years. She sounded even better. I'm like,
Yeah,
how is that
yeah.
possible?
She's gotten
How is
better
it
with time.
possible?
It's possible. She did it.
Oh, it is just absolutely incredible. And of course, it was that song that took everybody just lost it. And
Yeah, yeah.
she broke records, I'm sure, with holding those notes that night too. I mean, it was
She
just
did.
incredible.
Jennifer could hold a
Incredible.
note.
Absolutely. Let's see. One of my favorites when I was growing up was Al B. Sure with
Ah,
his cute self. And I'm so sorry. We're sending up prayers to him and his family. Know that he's, recovering from some illness recently. But tell us a little bit how you've got that teen hot heartthrob going in the industry.
well, I'll be sure. I think it was maybe he was very young, maybe 21 when he was signed to Warner Brothers. And I really liked him. I liked his personality. I knew he had a lot of potential. I took him out on his first promotional tour, and we had a good time. The important thing that I wanted to let him know, the do's and the don'ts. You can't let everybody into your camp.
Yeah.
Everybody is not your friend. You can't have all of these people hanging around you, latching on to you, because if something bad happens, it's all by them being around you is going to your name is going to be in the mud just like their names are. So we became great friends. I think I dedicated an entire chapter to Albie Shore. In fact, he's going to be writing a book soon, and he asked me for some of my pictures, so he could put them in his book. He said, "Teddy, man," when he saw my book, he's like, "Man, I forgot about all of these pictures, man. You took my career through the stratosphere. I appreciate it." and he's going to be writing a book too. And I wouldn't be
Nice.
surprised if we saw him back on stage on tour again. But it's going to take a little time for
Yeah.
to get him back up to speed.
Now, we talked a little bit about Usher performing at Teddy's Live. Did you ever expect that Usher would become the Usher of today?
Well, I never try to predict what an artist's success is
Yeah.
going to be, but I admire him as he was growing up. His mom came to me and she said, "Teddy, Usher's going to have his 16th birthday coming up next month, and I'd like to do his 16th birthday party here at Teddy's Live." Usher was a kid, 16, you know. I said, "Yeah, we can do that. We can do that." So everybody was there. L.A.
Oh,
Reid,
yeah.
Babyface, Kelly Redmond, TLC, Babyface. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
everybody, all the stars was there. And at the end of the night, everybody having such a great time. She said, "Teddy," Usher's mother said, "Teddy, could you have everybody come out to the balcony?" Teddy's Live balcony overlooked Central Avenue. And right there,
Mhm.
Central Avenue, time to look over the balcony, Usher had a brand new black Jeep that his mother had bought him for his birthday.
Yes.
And he was so good. "Oh, mama, mama, this my car." I don't even think he had driver's license, but but he had his first car, and he
Wow.
deserved it because he'd already had a hit record and his career
Yeah.
was on the upswing. So, but yeah, Usher's 16th birthday party was at Teddy's Live.
And speaking of other budding young artists, you worked with Tevin Campbell, who I absolutely love. I remember when he came on the talk show and sang and made his debut, and Can We Talk? Today is still such, iconic song, and where
Hmm.
they're doing all kind of challenges and
Yeah.
all this kind of stuff still to this day. I mean, tell us what it was like to work with him at such a critical point in his career.
And I'm glad you mentioned the Tevin Campbell Challenge because that is all over
Yeah,
social media, YouTube,
yes,
a lot of concerts you go to. They play the Tevin Campbell song, "Can We Talk?"
yes.
Can we talk? And everybody knows that song.
Talk a minute.
Ah, man, people know every lyric, every
Yes,
word in that song. And it's great to hear people sing it a cappella. Yeah, and that's another young artist that when Tevin was signed to Quincy Jones' label,
hmm,
Quest Records.
exactly.
Quincy Jones had Tevin Campbell,
Hmm,
Patty Austin,
hmm,
James Ingram, and Saida
yes,
Garrett, along with a few other artists.
loved her
So
too.
yes, and so
All
when
of them.
he, yes, when he produced the Tevin Campbell album and brought it to us, it's like, ooh, Lord. And a young kid around 16 and 17 years old. I don't know why Warner Brothers was attracted, all of these artists, young artists, was attracted to Warner Brothers because we was able to take a lot of young artists and groom them
Yes,
and tutor them and promote them and market them, take them on successful promotional tours. And when people saw what we were doing with young artists, they would bring them to Warner Brothers, just like they did with Albert Shore, just like we did with
absolutely,
Prince. So Tevin and in fact, Tevin is back on tour now. He is still one of my favorite artists, and
absolutely.
I like Kelly. I'd like for you to do the Tevin Camel Challenge.
Oh, I was just doing it. I promise you, a couple weeks ago, right in this studio right here. I've got some good acoustics,
I
and I
know.
was doing it. I said, I think I'm gonna put it out there. I've been practicing.
Oh, we
I
go
thought
sign
it'd be
Kelly.
good.
Yeah, man, that is such a fun song to sing.
It is.
People and that how certain songs stand the test of time.
Yes,
That one does. And
it
that
definitely
song
does.
is over that song is over 40 years old.
No, it's crazy. It's
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. And with Tevin, it was just and what I wanted to speak about was when you talked about all the young artists coming to Warner Brothers, that really says something that you had built up a reputation and a trust level that the parents trusted you with their talented, uber talented children, and you handled them with care and
absolutely,
responsibility. And
absolutely.
these young people have thrived, and it's a testament to the leadership and the care, because we know that there are places that aren't necessarily safe for young folks or grown folks. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that really speaks volumes to the label and the
Well,
leadership within the label, like you. So.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, when you all the artists would always wanted to come to Atlanta to work with Teddy Astin.
Mhm.
Everybody wanted to come here because they would see all the photos in the press, in the Jet magazine, in the Billboard magazine, and all the different trade magazine.
Yes.
So, and they knew that I would have a great itinerary for them.
Yes.
They knew that we would have good security. They knew that they would meet people that they never would have ever met in their lives. They knew that when I called Kelly and said, Kelly, I'm going to bring Tevin Cameron, Albie Shore, James Ingram by City Hall. Can you clear the way? And that's 5 minutes later, it's done. It's done. So that's how entertainment friendly Atlanta
Yeah,
has always been. And that's why we're the entertainment capital of the world. you
that's
know.
right.
So it's
That's right.
but it's just because Kelly did what people wonder. Well, how did Atlanta become the entertainment mecca of the universe? It just didn't start. We started back in the mid 90s.
Yes.
You know,
Absolutely. Early 90s.
yeah,
It was
early 90s,
92. The commission
92,
was
93. Yeah. So
definitely.
now we are where we are now, but it just didn't start overnight. And any
Absolutely.
other city or state that tries to do that, I mean, you don't have the same kind of artists that we had back then. The cities may not be as entertainment friendly as they were back then. Plus, we don't have the same kind of entertainers. You know,
No, that's important.
we had a lot of R&B artists. That was grown, and a lot of artists these days, they're kind of on a different, they're on a different
They
path, on a different level. It's not the same.
And as we're winding down, we cannot end without giving a tribute to the dear beloved Luther Vandross. And please share a little bit about him. And then, if you like, you can go into some closing remarks of whatever you want to share, about, you know, your journey, your book, A Golden Class and a Platinum Future. And we're going to have to do this again, because I know we're only scratched the surface. We did accomplish getting to everyone on my list today. So,
Well, we just had to do part one, two, three, and four.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah. So basically, Luther Vandross, okay, was Luther and Roberta Flack was very good friends as well because both of them used to be studio artists. But a long story short, we had a custom label. When I say custom label, I mean it's like that we promote, market, and distribute. Like Quincy Jones Quest Records, we did all the work for them. Sire Records, who had Ice T and Madonna. RFC Records, who brought us the Change album. Now, the Change album was basically a studio album. Just so happened Luther Vandross did the main track, "The Glow of Love."
Yes, yes.
He introduced Luther to the world, not just domestically, but internationally. You know, so the chapter in my book with Luther Vandross is titled "The One That Got Away." And that's
Mhm.
one that I always regretted that we was able to break that artist, but never was able to sign him. And he wasn't on Warner. Warner Brothers just distributed the label RSC Records that Luther recorded for, even though we distributed it and promoted it and marketed it. But it really hurt when we wasn't able to sign him. And Warner Brothers was always like, look, we can't sign Luther Vandross because he's on RFC Records. RFC will have first right of refusal. If they said they didn't want to sign him, then we could take a look at it. So while RFC was going back and forth, Luther wanted creative control of his music. RFC wanted to assign him to a producer that would produce him, and that wasn't what he wanted. In the meantime, while all of this drama is going on, Epic Records signed Luther Vandross as a solo artist. I'm like, oh my God, what? I still can't get over it. That's why I wanted
I
to.
bet you can.
That's why I
That
wanted to
that
do
was a
it.
tough loss. That was a
Yeah,
tough loss.
that's why I wanted to do a chapter on Luther to let people know
Yeah.
exactly how his career started and how he got away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I will never forget. I'm so blessed and fortunate to have seen him perform multiple times. And one that stands out in particular, he was on tour with Anita Baker, and
Yeah.
I saw them in Chicago at Airy Crown. And this was not long after Eddie Murphy made his famous joke about Kentucky Fried Chicken, and Luther brought the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket on the stage.
Everybody can relate to that,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
He
and
made a lot
just
of humor out of it. But
yes,
Kelly,
and
I
to be
wanted,
such a good sport about that. I mean, it just
yeah,
spoke volumes to who he was as a
it really
person, and then
did.
just to see his growth and evolution over the course of his lifetime. I mean, just timeless. The music is timeless and just forever in our hearts. Just like you,
Absolutely.
Teddy, and just like
Timeless.
all experiences and artists.
Thank you,
I cannot
Kelly.
wait to have you back.
Okay, well,
And
I just wanted to thank you for having me on your show again today, and to let everybody know my new book is available on my website. If you see down at the bottom where it says toughact.net, that's the website for the book. You can go to the website. You can learn more about me, Teddy, the author. You can send me a message. You'll see a lot of the reviews that we have, great reviews that we've gotten over the years. You'll see over 50 gold and platinum albums that I received from the various artists that I worked with over the years. And you'll see probably 20 or 30 proclamations that Kelly was able to get from me throughout City Hall and the State Senate, So I appreciate that, Kelly. And I'm glad our
oh,
friendship has lasted over the years and we're still in contact with each other. Again, you can
absolutely.
get my book at toughact.net. Look at the bottom, toughact.net. TOUGHACT.net. Teddy Astin, a golden past and a platinum future.
Teddy, you are amazing, incredible. And I'm not saying that to be, I mean this, and I don't say that about a lot of people. You are definitely one of my favorite people that I've ever worked with and friends. And I'm so glad that we have a lifetime friendship. As you put on your signature for me, my sign book, a friend for life, you absolutely have a friend in me for life. And I'm so grateful for you. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of Black History Month. I know you got a packed schedule, and we will be in touch real soon. And
Very good,
we're going
Kelly.
to talk about Teddy's Live LA.
All right. Again, that name came from LA. LA Live. Teddy Live.
Okay. All right.
I said, as soon as
Thank
I
you
get back
so
to Atlanta, I'm
much.
going to open one of those. Thank you,
And I'm
Kelly.
going to be in Atlanta. I'm going to be in Atlanta, I expect, for CT's event that they're doing. So I will follow up with you about that.
That'd be great.
For the
Looking forward to seeing you.
foundation. They started a foundation for CT Vivian. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was another great
oh,
councilman. Yes.
yes. Well, no, no. CT Vivian, the
Oh,
civil
the civil
rights
rights
leader.
icon.
Yes, CT Vivian.
Yes, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
they actually have an event for his foundation the end of April, but they actually did a musical in honor of his life. and that's going to be in June. So I'll be there for that because the other event is during Jada's graduation weekend.
I
But
think
I'll be in
if
touch.
there's the same tribute that's coming to the Rialto Theater, I did some consulting on that. So
Wonderful. That is the one.
yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. And while we're here, I'll give it a shout out. It was For Peace I Rise about CT and
Yes.
Octavia Vivian. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I'll tell you more about that when we talk.
Yes. And
All
maybe
right.
since you worked on it, we can bring back some of the people who worked on it and promote that. So let's talk about that too.
Sounds good.
Yep, his daughter's connecting me. We talked this morning and she's connecting me with the folks to see how we can
Right.
expand their
Yeah.
reach as
Funny you should
well.
you should mention that because the theme of the play, the movie is going to be now that we found love. You remember OJ song? Now
Yes, yes,
that we
yes.
found love. I got them the clearance for that.
Wonderful. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. All
Yeah.
these dots connected. We're all family.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, see you soon.
Thank you, Kelly.
God bless you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much for joining us today. So grateful for Teddy and all the incredible work that he has done over many decades and still continues to do in the entertainment industry. Again, if you have not, definitely get your copy, Teddy's A Golden Past and a Platinum Future, Teddy Astin at www.toughact.net. Look forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care. God bless. Happy Black History Month and Grammys, the Grammy Foundation. Thank you, thank you, thank you for acknowledging our artists and giving them their due flowers. Have a great week. God bless.